You know that feeling when a friend of yours is about to order a replacement part for their deli slicer, and you can see the hesitation in their voice? They've got a Berkel slicer that's been humming along for years. Then suddenly the control switch starts acting up, and now they're stuck wondering if they should spend the cash on a brand new unit or just swap out the faulty piece. I've been in that exact spot a few times, watching a small shop lose a few minutes of service time because the slicer won't start, and then scrambling for a reliable fix. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through whether the switch for Berkel slicer, part number 497500404, is the right solution before you click buy. First off, what we're talking about here is a single mechanical switch that lives inside the control panel of a Berkel slicer. It's not a fancy electronic module, just a sturdy, metal-to-metal contact that lets the motor start and stop. The thing about Berkel machines is they're built for commercial use. You see them in delis, meat markets, and sometimes in a serious home butcher's kitchen. Because of that, the internal components are designed to handle a lot of cycles. When a switch finally gives out, it's usually after a lot of use. And the good news is you don't have to replace the whole slicer. This part is the exact replica of the original OEM component. So if your slicer is one of the models that uses the 497500404 switch, it should slot right in. Now, the first question most buyers ask is, will this actually fit my machine? The answer hinges on model compatibility. Berkel has a handful of slicer lines, and each line uses a different part number for its control switch. The safest move is to double-check the model plate on the slicer or pull up the service manual. You'll see the part number printed right next to the switch housing. If it matches 497500404, you're good to go. If you're unsure, a quick call to the manufacturer's support line can save you a wasted shipment. That little step of verification is where a lot of money gets saved, because ordering the wrong switch means you're back to square one and still without a working slicer. Assuming the part matches, the next practical concern is installation. The switch is not a plug-and-play component. You'll need to open the control panel, disconnect the power, and swap the old switch for the new one. For anyone who's comfortable with basic tools, a screwdriver, maybe a pair of pliers, the job takes about 15 to 20 minutes. The real trick is keeping track of the wiring connectors. They're usually labeled, but if you're working in a cramped panel, you might have to take a quick photo before you start. Once the new switch is in place and the panel is resealed, you'll notice the slicer engaging instantly, without the intermittent clicks that often signal a failing contact. In a busy deli, that instant response can mean the difference between a smooth rush hour and a line of impatient customers. From a value perspective, this switch is a classic example of fixing a problem at the component level rather than opting for a full machine replacement. A brand new Berkel slicer can run you several $1,000s, while a single switch is a fraction of that, typically a few dozen on Amazon. If the rest of the slicer is in good shape, you're essentially extending the life of a multi-$1,000 asset for the price of a coffee. That's where the real ROI shows up. You avoid the downtime and the capital expense of a brand new unit, and you keep your workflow uninterrupted. Who should definitely consider buying this switch? First, any commercial operation that already has a Berkel slicer and just needs to restore functionality. That includes small-scale delis, grocery store meat counters, and specialty food trucks that rely on that precision cut. Second, hobbyists or home-based butchers who own a Berkel model for occasional use. The cost of the switch is low enough that a DIY fix makes perfect sense. Finally, service technicians who keep a roster of slicers in the field will find this part essential for quick on-site repairs. Having it in inventory saves a service call. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to skip this purchase. If you can't confirm that the part number matches your machine, the risk of buying the wrong component outweighs the low price. Also, if your slicer is showing multiple signs of wear, uneven cuts, motor overheating, frequent safety stop triggers, a single switch swap might not solve the underlying issues. In that scenario, investing in a newer model or a comprehensive service overhaul could be more cost-effective in the long run. Lastly, if you're not comfortable opening up an electrical panel, the installation may require a professional.